All right, good Thursday, I should say good Friday afternoon, everyone. It is the end of the week. The Arctic air has made its way into the Texas Panhandle. Conditions continue to just slowly deteriorate as we get into this evening. We are starting to see some snow get to the ground in the Amarillo area. Downtown, starting to see some of the snowflakes stick to the windshields of vehicles and maybe starting to accumulate on the parking lots wherever you're at. Sounds like it just started on the northeast side of town, but has been snowing for about 10-15 minutes at a decent rate in the southwest side. So we are going to start seeing some very minor accumulations as we go into this evening. You can see the radar not doing a fantastic job of picking up where the snow is at. You can see again kind of this ring around Amarillo, so it looks like there's probably some drier air somewhere between, in at least aloft, and we get back up into maybe some better snowflakes as you get there closer to Friona and Clovis with some of that higher stuff that's in that dendritic growth zone. These are going to probably produce some better snowflakes than what we're dealing with right now here at the surface. I want to zoom on in here real quick because this is a really neat feature. It happens sometimes once, maybe twice a year, but you've got Lake Meredith here and we've got a northeast breeze, and you can see this confined area where there's some little bit higher reflectivity. That's actually lake effect snow. With the wind blowing northeast to southwest, it's going right down the length of the lake, and it spans about 15-20 miles. And enough of that warm water is allowing enough lift to get some snowflakes to form. So that's pretty unique, pretty cool there. So again, if you're out there towards Alvarado, towards Wildorado or towards north side of Bushland, you might be seeing some of those flakes due to that lake effect snow. If you're about halfway between Amarillo and Dumas there on Highway 87, probably seeing some of those snow bands come across the area too. Let's take a look outside over in Dumas. You can see again, there's some very light snow out there. It's not very heavy, but starting to stick to things like the grass, parts of the parking lots. You can see a little bit of snow there on some of the rooftops. That's what we're dealing with across a larger chunk of the area now. You can see again, snow not accumulating yet in Bushland, but obviously a pretty good flurry out there. Visibility starting to get pretty low, less than a mile in some cases. So just keep that in mind. If you are traveling, we are starting to see the visibility become more limited. Eventually, we'll start seeing some of that snow stick to things, and that's going to create some slick spots out there. The temperature in Amarillo is 14 degrees, just changed to 12, 7 in Guyman and Boise City. Wind is pretty strong, around 10 to 20 miles per hour, closer to 20 for most of us. But this is what it feels like when you step outside. I mean, it is brutally cold, especially in the Oklahoma Panhandle, where it feels like it's 10 below 0 degrees, -6 out at the airport in Amarillo. Not much better here. And again, we're starting to see some of those flakes fly as well. Here's our winter weather alerts. We are expecting that winter storm warning to continue until about 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning slash afternoon on Sunday. So that's going to run for about another 45, 46 hours. And then the same thing, 6 a.m., a little bit earlier of an expiration time up there in those advisories where we're not going to see as much snowfall. But widespread 5 to 10 inches of snow expected. There's probably going to be a swath in the southeast panhandle that get close to, if not more than a foot of snow accumulation. And the worst case scenario might be a lot more than that. Just we'll have to break that down for you. Extreme cold warning has been expanded up into the northeast panhandle. That's where we'll see those wind chills as low as 20 below zero, and a cold weather advisory the further west you get. It's just a higher threshold for your cold weather or for your extreme cold warnings. Not necessarily that you're going to be any warmer. You're still going to be dealing with some really cold temperatures out there. So here's that next band that's going to come through. We expect the better moisture to arrive around 5, 6 p.m. Already starting to see maybe some effects of that this evening or this afternoon as we get close to 3 o'clock. And we'll end up seeing some minor accumulations between now and about 7, 8 a.m. on Saturday. It really will probably focus in the southeast panhandle where we'll see 1 to 3 inches of snow accumulation, probably an additional 1 to 3 up here in the northeast, but probably a little bit later on in the night, closer to sunrise on Saturday is when you'll see some of that snow accumulation up here. Some of it will happen tonight, this evening, there in the South Panhandle. We get a lull in activity in the middle of the day on Saturday, and then this is what happens as we get towards the evening. There's that next band that sets up, and notice again, these are some darker shades of blue. This could be a very significant band of snow that unfolds across the area and will persist for 12 to 16 hours, we could be dealing with some snow accumulations over 1 inch per hour. That's going to lead to a cumbersome amount in some isolated areas. By 11 a.m., we should be done with the snow here in the Amarillo area. I want to go ahead and show you our forecast, and then I'm going to show you the worst case scenario. So currently, we're leaning towards areas in the southeast, picking up a broad swath of probably 8, 9, 10 inches of snow if you're in this pink range. There's probably going to be some pockets in there that also get 12 inches of snow, 1 foot. That's going to include areas around Dimmitt, Tutuila, Silverton. Probably going to include Childress in that as well, where you could get maybe 8 to 10 inches of snow accumulation. There is some concern that it may be a mixture of sleet and snow, so that's going to bring down your totals possibly. But if it starts as outright snow, you're in for a doozy as well. Shamrock expected to see about 8, 10 inches of snow there, 8 to 10 there in Canadian and Pampa. Here in Amarillo, we're in the purple range, but we're close to that pink. So we're leaning towards it being about a 7, 8-inch snow event for us in the Amarillo area. It's over a 48-hour span. So you'll get maybe an inch or so tonight into tomorrow morning, and then maybe another 6 or 7 inches on Saturday night into Sunday morning. So a bulk of our accumulation happens tomorrow night. So whatever we kind of get tonight into tomorrow morning is kind of bonus from compared to what else we may be dealing with. And this is the worst case scenario. So this is not a likely situation, but should we get a good 1-inch swath of precipitation down there in the southeast, and it's a 20-to-1 ratio of snowfall, we could be talking about a very significant amount in a small section of the southeast panhandle. You can see some of these numbers. This is in inches. It goes off of our legend. You know, it only goes up to 18 here, but you're getting into 18 to 24 inches in this really light pink range. You start getting above 24 inches in that darker pink you see there, kind of in the OKC metro area. This is worst case. This is, again, not what we expect to happen. But should we see an inch of QPF or of liquid equivalent moisture get to the surface down here, and it's all falling as a 20-to-1 ratio for snowfall, that's probably what the worst case would be. Is we could even see a foot of snow here in Amarillo if that pans out. So again, that's just with this total moisture. If something like this were to pan out, we're in for a really significant snow event down in the southeast, from probably Lubbock towards Tulia, back up to Shamrock and Childress in this general area here. Would see a significant amount, probably enough to really just bring travel down to a crawl, if not a standstill. That would probably strand vehicles wherever they're at. It's going to be a lesser amounts up here in the northwest. You can see Clayton only picking up 507 inches of precipitation. 0.6 might be generous for Amarillo. Probably going to see somewhere on that 0.4 to 0.5 range. But if we, do a 20-to-1 ratio, 0.4 times 2, that's 8. So you're talking about 8 inches of snow, which again is kind of what we're expecting. This is actually underdoing our wind chills as of this hour. So this might need to take some of these down a notch or two. Probably down to 20 below by tomorrow morning in the Oklahoma Panhandle, down to about 10, 15 below zero here in Amarillo. Saturday afternoon, we moderate back up into the low negatives, but we probably won't see much recovery as far as warmer temperatures go. Our afternoon highs tomorrow going to be about 10 degrees. We'll probably spend most of the day in the single digits, and then we'll end up having another cold start on Sunday with those temperatures down into well into the negatives. Again, kind of past our chance to prepare for the storm, but make sure you've got an alternate heat source should the power go out, especially for you guys that are going to see a lot of snow in the southeast. Protect your pipes both inside and outside the home. Again, this is an extended freeze. We're talking about temperatures staying below 32 degrees for as long as 120 hours. That's 5 days. Once we start getting to hour 72, 84, 96, that's when things like pipes start breaking and freezing. And then whenever we thaw out, they start to burst. And so this is going to be a problematic issue for us. Make sure you've got that 4 to 5 days of non-perishable food, especially for those that, again, get that cumbersome amount of accumulating snowfall in the southeast panhandle. I would not recommend traveling in these conditions. So if you get stuck where you're at and you get stranded in a vehicle, it's best to have an emergency kit with you. It's going to require a blanket, heavy coat, a jacket, hat, food, water, gloves, you name it. If you got some hand warmers, those will help too. Make sure you check your antifreeze. I would make sure that it's rated to at least 10 below zero. It's going to get very cold over the next few mornings. We could even fall into the negatives for our actual temperature on Monday morning. I mean, we may end up being in the negatives even here in Amarillo for our temperature. And then some other things to keep in mind. Make sure you're taking care of your livestock. Make sure that you bring those pets indoors. Local communities, they do have warming stations. They do have warming centers. If you lose electricity or you lose power and that alternate heat source just isn't enough to keep you warm, make sure that you, again, are finding those resources out there in your community so that you can, again, get away from the frigid elements. And then limit your time outside is the most important one. We are expecting frostbite to be a concern in as little as 30 minutes, especially when those wind chills are between 15 and 20 degrees below zero. Here's our 7-day tracker. Temperatures probably going to be around 10 degrees at midnight tonight in Amarillo. We may have to bring this number down. We may rebound enough to get up to about 9-10 degrees, but it is going to be cold, staying below freezing again on Sunday. Temperature down to 2 degrees in the early morning hours. And then look at that, -5 on Monday morning as all those clouds clear out and we've got all that snowpack on the ground. We're probably looking at some record low temperatures in the area, and we still stay below freezing Monday afternoon. We probably ease just above the freezing level on Tuesday. If we don't, which is a possibility, we could still stay below freezing until Wednesday afternoon. So instead of 120 hours, you're probably talking more like 140 hours where you're below freezing, which is a very significant cold snap. We're not going to put much weight in this, but we do have a cold front expected to arrive late next week. And the ensembles are suggesting we might have another winter system on our hands. I don't think it's going to be to the magnitude of this event, but some snow does look like it's in the forecast. We've got a 20% chance there on Friday, and we've got a high of just 31 degrees there on Friday afternoon in our 7-day forecast. So once we get through this really miserable weekend, we're going to start putting a lot more focus and attention into that system, but it does look like it's going to be impactful for us for the next 2 days for sure. And then the cold weather will continue into next week. We get some minor reprieve, maybe a little bit of relief in the afternoons, Wednesday, Thursday, before we're thrown back in the freezer there on Friday. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Again, we've got a little bit of snow already around the region. If you're tuning in late, this will post to our page.